Hello everyone, this is going to be a special clergy video on location, so to speak, out in the county. I'm here with Lucy, the dog. We just took a little ride out north of Danville, about 10 minutes out, and we're now at the site of the old St. Joseph Mission. I was going to do some of the history of the parish in videos, but things have changed, so I figured I'd go ahead and do this one. So we're out at the St. Joseph Mission, and this was founded in the 1840s by Father LeMay, who identified that there's a lot of German settlers who were coming into the area. So he set up this church, and it was part of his circuit riding rounds between Glenmont and Danville and Mount Vernon and all the other places. So the St. Joseph Mission was built on Kaler Ridge, and according to the anniversary book by Father Luba and others, the St. Joseph saw its peak activity in 1849, where they had 10 baptisms and 2 marriages, and a total of 50 families attended, with some of them never missing a service. And unfortunately, there is a graveyard here with the death rate at that time, with at least a few dozen people who are buried here, perhaps as many as 50. And so it goes on to say that before Father LeMay had his horse, he would actually do walking through all these missions. So now we'll step outside and take a look at the actual mission site. Unfortunately, I think since it's raining right now, that I'll just leave Miss Lucy here in the car. Okay, so here we are now at St. Joseph's Mission. As you can see, there's not much left. There is a marker here. Apologize for some of the ambient sound with the rain. At least you'll get some bird song. But as you can see, there is in fact a marker still here for the St. Joseph Mission. And as you can see, it wasn't until Glenmont received a church, St. Peter and Paul Church, built in 1857, that many of the parishioners went from here. But as you can see, this church would have been built in the 1840s with Father LeMay doing circuit riding. He said Mass here once a month. And without having the site survey, we can presume that these are roughly the foundation area for the original church. It would, of course, have been a very small, primitive structure, surely made out of hewn logs and just what was on site. So without archaeological data, obviously, can't say for sure, but it does seem like this is probably where the church was. There is a cemetery as well, but as you can see, it is rather unfortunately in disrepair. Word is that some of the stones were taken to be used for paving, but in general there are a few stones still remaining, but not nearly enough for 20 at the low end or 50 on the high end, as is to be expected with stones this age. There's not a lot you can read without doing a rubbing, which you shouldn't do, which is destructive, or doing some fancy flash photography, which is really the best way nowadays to read old tombstones. But as I was saying, there's not that many stones left, as is not too unusual for a rural cemetery. There's probably been some vandalism as well. Here we have a probably one of the better stones here that we can actually read for Jason, or J. Storm, died in 1818, aged 12 years. Obviously, not much left of the cemetery, unfortunately. And without having off-camera flash photography and the right light conditions, it really is hard to read stones this old, because these would have been local stones. They would have been just what was local, and why so many of them are hard to read no matter what state, because it wasn't until the railroads came through and they were able to bring in good quarried stone that you start getting gravestones that survive. But here's another decent one that you can still read. And of course, there's going to be... Well, anyway, so that's about everything to show here at the old St. Joseph mission site. As I said, there's not a whole lot left, but just really wanted to stop out, pay my respects to those who are still interred here, who are buried here, and also to pay my respects to the fact that this was, in fact, a place where the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass was offered, where the sacraments were dispensed, and even though there's not much left, that this was a place of our Catholic heritage in Ohio. So it's also a good place for us to remind ourselves that as much changes that are happening in our diocese and our parishes and everything else, that, you know, churches come and go, but the church itself remains. So even though this church is long gone, the faith that it helped to inculcate here in Knox County and Holmes County in Ohio still lives on in these pilgrims and these pioneers' descendants, these farmers' descendants. And so just as the faith is ever ancient, it's also ever new. And so even though we want to preserve our past, we also have to always be looking to the future and to making sure that we're bringing Christ to the world, because while there are still a lot of beautiful trees here, there are not a lot of people. And so we want to bring Christ to where the people are so that they too can go on, like our forebears, to be with our Lord forever. So anyway, reporting here from on location at St. Joseph Mission Cemetery and Church Site. This is Father Morris, and I'm signing off.